You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik, a show to help professional moms in survival mode to take hold of their lives and thrive. If you're ready to take powerful action to create your best life, then this is the show for you. I'm your host, Dr. Prianca Naik, board-certified internal medicine physician and certified life coach. Now let's get to it and dive in. You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, episode number 29. Hello there, everybody. I am so glad that you are listening today to today's podcast. And I'm going to tell you, happy fall. I am in a particularly good mood, loving my life these past couple of weeks. And I, of course, teach my clients to do the same. My coaching helps mom in male-dominated fields like doctors, lawyers, executives who are truly suffering from burnout to enjoy the life that they've worked so hard for, using my proven methodology to heal the underlying causes of burnout. To get started on enjoying your life, check out my free masterclass on 4 methods to loving your life. The link will be in the show notes. So, not everyone is in a day-to-day job that they love, right? Some are, and that is wonderful, but others are truly in what I call, or what many of us call, a grind. Regardless of where you are in your career, we can often feel overwhelmed by our never-ending to-do lists or the things piling up, factor in a sick child or another curveball, and forget about it. You feel like you're drowning pretty quickly, right? I'm sure you've been there. It's really important, though, to honor the space where you are when you are there. So today I want to talk about taking time and space in order to, of course, live a better life and also combat burnout. Recently, my to-do list was longer than usual, and I had mentioned that I didn't record podcast episodes for a couple of weeks because of this. There were deadlines looming. My strategy to deal with all of this and not feel overwhelmed was to focus on one thing at a time. This isn't exactly how I normally manage my to-do list and my stuff to do. Usually I get, a task done in 15 to 20 minute increments, but I found some of the things I needed to take care of just weren't conducive to that usual strategy. Therefore, I switched gears and I did one thing at a time. I also forgave myself for not seeming like I was achieving my usual level of stuff, maybe not operating at the same frequency or being as productive. And of course, the first thing my brain wanted to do was to make me feel inadequate, not worthy, and not good enough. Sound familiar? But sometimes life gets hard, life gets tough, right? That's the reality. And a way to make things easier is by giving ourselves grace, of course, like I've discussed in episode 24. So refer to that one if you haven't listened to it already. But besides giving ourselves grace, we can give ourselves space. I know that rhymes and now it's sounding goofy, but it's true. Give ourselves some breathing room, more free time. Sometimes that means sacrificing some of our daily routines, depending on how much they actually help us. For example, the last few weeks were extremely busy for me, more than usual. Something had to give. And as I mentioned, I skipped recording 2 podcast episodes, but also I cut back from 6 days of exercise a week to 3 or 4. And that was fine because I knew this is temporary. At some point, life will calm down, free up, and I can go back to 5 or 6 days. And along with the podcast, which I love bringing to you all so much, I also quieted down on my email list my emails to my people. And I email them pretty often. Now, if you're interested in my emails, you want to hear from me, I like to give daily tips on living a better life, enjoying your life, finding fulfillment, happiness, peace, ease, all the good things, go to my website, stresscleansemd.com, to sign up for my emails. But I had to decrease that as well, just to give myself more breathing space and breathing room. Additionally, I constrained who I chose to hang out with, which I usually do, but I made sure not to overschedule myself in general. I also allowed myself to not work out on the weekend days when I was on call seeing a lot of patients. I dropped that expectation knowing that, hey, this is temporary. I'll work out at another point. Maybe a quick walk around the block or getting some fresh air could help boost my endorphins, but be more time efficient. I also scheduled extra time before bed to make sure that I got adequate sleep. We do need that for our mental health, right? And the way to actually do this is to promise and commit to yourself that you'll have good sleep hygiene. Yes, of course, there are times when you might be Netflixing and you just want to zone out and not think about anything. I'm sure we've all been there where we watch Netflix till too late. But there are also times when things get increasingly busy, overwhelming, when you really have to buckle down and have the discipline to do what's healthy. Schedule some time and space to connect with a loved one. Even if you can't fit it in right now, make sure you have things to look forward to. Take 5 minutes in the morning to connect with yourself, whatever way that might be, before you delve into the emails and get started on all of the hectic stuff. You can set an intention for the day and really just be present with yourself. Maybe enjoy your morning cup of coffee, just some connection, which will create a little bit more breathing room. This one's a big one. Try to get help if you can with childcare or household tasks. This will certainly create more space. Unplug is my next tip, which I think you probably already know. Cut yourself off from any and all scrolling. I am getting a watch because I want to be able to put my phone aside outside of work hours to increase my presence, because I use my phone as a clock, so it's always with me. Declutter and organize your workspace or a sacred space in your home, because, like Gretchen Rubin's book title, Outer Order, Inner Calm, outer order really does create inner calm. Make a large to-do list and smaller ones to just decrease the brain space and energy worrying about getting things done. Have you ever noticed, especially I think this is true for physicians, but when you have impending charting to do, maybe in the evening, and you find yourself anxious about it? I've been there where I'm getting my kids ready for bed and I'm thinking about the notes I have to finish for the rest of the day. And recently I've been acknowledging this and I sit with it. And either I sit with the anxiety and I know it's there and I make my peace with it, or I might actually talk to myself and say, hey, you always get your notes done. So why are you really feeling anxious? And then I can figure out what the issue is. And actually, I realized that it wasn't about getting my notes done. It was about getting enough sleep. So I ended up putting myself to bed on time and then wrapping up a few notes the following morning, only 2 or 3. But that was helpful. So just kind of being with ourselves, creating space and time, or playing around with time and space as well. Say no to things you don't absolutely have to do. Protect your time and energy to conserve it when you need more time and space. The thing that goes hand in hand with this is putting a halt to people pleasing. And for help with this, listen to episode number 4 on stopping people pleasing. So when you do that, because people pleasing really does muddy up our free time, energy, and space, you will be able to get more breathing room. Meditate regularly. This really creates space, time, peace. I highly recommend it. You only have to do it for a couple of minutes a day. Try Headspace or another app to just get you in the rhythm. And there is no right way to meditate, because I know a lot of my clients think that, they can't, and that's just not true. You just have to sit and take the time and practice, and it helps create just a little bit of breathing room. All right, so here's another one that I think is a great idea, but it might not be palatable for you. Take a personal or sick day or some form of time off soon to give yourself some time to either get shit done or to recoup, because we all need that. This hectic going from one thing to the next, overscheduling, not having a second to breathe, it just increases our angst, our stress, our anxiety. It adds to and leads to burnout. So truly learning to cultivate the space, especially when we get overly busy, is such an important skill to have. Be okay with not being a productivity machine. It's okay. I promise. I know you're a hard worker. I know you get a lot done. So just sometimes be all right with working out less or being less social or maybe not being as productive at your job. We all need a little bit of space to recoup. And when the tough time seems like it may be letting up, do a reset. Make a short list of manageable goals and get to it. For me recently, I made a list to reset, and one of the goals, I made myself a promise that I would increase my meditation. And that's what I did. One baby step at a time. That is how we make larger changes in our lives. I promise you, one tiny, tiny change. If you like my podcast and you want to dive deeper on this work, my coaching program helps mom in male-dominated fields who are suffering from burnout to enjoy the life that they've worked so hard to build, using my proven methodology to heal the underlying causes. To get started on enjoying your life, check out my free masterclass on 4 methods to love your life. Link in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik. If you are ready to get unstuck and out of survival mode to live your best life, I want to invite you to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me. To get started, visit priancanaikmdcoaching.as.me. Link in the show notes.